I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
He is terrible!
He was gobbling fucking wieners and buns.
I'm gonna go quick because I don't give a fuck about anything that's gonna happen on Saturday.
Welcome to this week's edition of the mma-analysis podcast. The Bear Jew is headed to Glasgow. Our Bear Jew, obviously not here, headed to Glasgow, doing his Bear Jew thing.
Back hibernating.
Back. It is summertime, but somehow he is hibernating. I'm joined by New Sean to start this week. Mr. Canada, what's going on?
Just travel in the countryside like I do for all the time for my job. So this time I'm in wonderful Winnipeg right now. So that's
that's not too bad.
It is. I'm not a big fan.
How's the scene? Is there a scene?
I don't know. I don't want to know. I've done a little bit of walking, and it's a little bit of a sketchier part of Canada. Not a fan.
So you don't when you travel to these random Canadian outposts, you don't go to the downtowns. You don't check out the drinking scene, the bar scene, see what's up. That's not your.
I mean, if it's close to where I'm staying at a hotel, I'm kind of in a weird spot. The hotel I'm at, but I went to get some supper there, and I think closer to downtown. But I don't know. I've been to Winnipeg only a couple times, and both times it's kind of weirded me out. So I stick to myself and get out of here in one piece is my plan.
I mean, there's no Canadian football team there or anything you can spend your time with.
There is, but Canadian football is only on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's only
okay.
Yeah.
Well, you got time.
Yeah.
Week's not over yet. Wes, outside of Kentucky becoming an outpost for the Canadian national team, what's going on?
Man, same old shit.
How was the official clan on your transdestined trip to some other southern outpost?
Wasn't too bad, man. Worked Lance out pretty good, so that's probably why he's missing the show tonight. Probably recovering from that pounding he took. But no, I had a great time, man, down there with the officials again, man. Got to go see the U.S. national team again, which is always a good time.
Would have been better if they won.
Man, especially when Guzan's dragging his hog all around the pitch, but everybody else kind of sucks. It was a good time, man. I got to watch the fights, man. Got to see the U.S. national team. Good time. I always enjoy seeing the officials, and definitely the main official. My old man, my dude Barry.
Numero uno.
Yeah, numero uno official.
Big Dick Barry.
That's right. Yeah, BDP. I'm told that our newest member, Dougie, will be joining us later. I know you guys are upset about this, but Brad's on hiatus. He will be back, so we think, but starting a new job, doing whatever they do in Canada with that color money. So once he's on a different schedule, which
Brad's the man
will be
now.
At some point,
he's the man.
He'll be back.
He's government coming for your taxes.
That's right. That is Bradley. So we may see Dougie later. So that will be fun when that happens. Got a few things in the first word this week. It's been a busy time in MMA. Let's start with just a quick review of our bets from last week. 5dimes.eu consensus bets. Pretty good, right, guys? I mean, we went 2-0. That's a nice thing. We had a Jordan Johnson, Jesse Taylor parlay, plus 126 winner, so a little plus doggy there. And then the Ream straight by majority decision.
That was
a little sweat, right?
Bit of a sweat.
I'll tell you, whoever steamed down Jesse Taylor, thank you so much, because That was one of the bigger bets that I've had on MMA in a while. I did not understand that whatsoever, but we really appreciate it over here at West HQ for y'all steaming Jesse Taylor all damn week. He should have never. I think he got down to like minus 120 or something at one time, or minus 110. That was just insane, man. Just insane.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise. Moving on from our little bet roundup, another defection in the UFC ranks. Middleweight Gegard Mousasi has joined the dark side, headed to Bellator, following the likes of Lorenz Larkin, Ryan Bader,
Rory
McDonald, etc., etc. I'll start with you, Nushan. How do you think he does in that organization? How many titles will he win there?
Well, he's obviously going to be the middleweight champion. I don't think that's a big shocker of a statement there. I definitely think he could easily win the light heavyweight as well. He's really flourished lately. I know he had some injury issues when he fought Machida and Jacare, so I don't know if that's finally in the past and now he's flourishing, but he's a good fighter, man. I think this is a pretty decent sized loss for the UFC. He was on a good streak. He avenged that fucking rat shit in Calcutta loss against Uriah Hall. And he was really flourishing on like the mic and stuff like that. He was talking lots of shit and you know, showing more of his personality, which I liked, and now he's gone to Bellator. I don't know. Bellator seems to be getting some decent fighters. They actually might be a thing now. Obviously, that's not showing by this week's Bellator card, but every once in a while, a Bellator card will actually be decent enough for me to watch and enjoy.
Wes, I'll ask you a different question. Do you think these defections continue, or is the Bellator money train going to slow down a bit? I mean, we know they're funded by Viacom, but I mean, I'm sure Viacom doesn't want to just lose money over and over and over. So what's the end game here?
I actually think that this Gegard is like the point of changing tides. I honestly believe that. The most legit in their prime guy that they've signed, and with this, you know, the second Conor Floyd press conference today, you can see how WME are going to run, you know, their company and what they're all about. They're about the bottom line, and I think Viacom they're in it for the long haul. I mean, how many years have we been saying that? Like, once Viacom's going to get out, they're going to quit, you know, flushing all this money. It's like years later, and they're still in the business. They're letting Coker do his thing. These guys seem to respect Scott Coker far more than they do far more than they do Dana White. I really think this is the point that we'll look back on and say that was when Bellator started to get the guys. You know, the UFC are going to let them walk. It's just, do Bellator want to sign them? And it's looking like they do. Gegard is like one of the 2 or 3 best guys in the division. He was right there for a title shot. I think he could be a 2-division champion in that promotion, but you know, it's going to be a while before they can even sniff like being the UFC's equal. I just think this is kind of where we see it starting to turn a little bit. And like I was tweeting about it today, all the Bellator haters and shit that, you know, talk so much like us on this show. We're not, you know, against making fun of Bellator. You know, I got the damn That's So Bellator shirt bought and paid for. But, you know, at what point does it get, you know, old and played out when you look at how the UFC is being ran nowadays? They're just as much as a clown show. somebody tweeted today about, their middleweight champ defending the belt against Alessio Sakara next. Well, the UFC's light heavyweight champion, biggest star, is about to fight in a boxing match against a boxer. So they're both clown shows right now. But this, I think it's the turning point, man. Getting Gegard's a huge get, the biggest one they've had. And it looks like in the future they're going to keep getting more. I welcome it. I think we need a couple really good promotions. It's better for fighters. I think it's going to be good for us as well.
Yeah, I mean, after Strikeforce went away, there really was no B promotion per se.
North American,
Yeah.
So it's kind of important.
And look at all the guys from Strikeforce that became UFC champions once they got bought out. Like champ after champ after champ.
Rockhold, Woodley. Yeah, absolutely.
They're the top of the UFC rosters of the top of their weight classes were pretty much just filled with Strikeforce guys a couple years after they came over. So there's talent around to be out there, and it's going to spread out, I think.
Yeah, that's certainly a possibility. I guess the issue with them obviously is going to come down to putting on quality cards on a regular basis, because right now, which isn't a bad thing, is they have a few good cards a year, and those cards are really good, and then you have cards like the one that's this Friday, which really isn't even worth talking about. So,
which anyway. I'm fine with too. I mean, that's
I guess. I mean, it's fine to have events.
The UFC,
you want to be
The UFC gives us plenty of those cards as well. Like, I just because it's got the UFC name on it, like, we get plenty of shitbag UFC cards now. And, that's going to happen with as many cards they try to put on. But people act like that Bellator's the only ones that throw you a shit card all the time. UFC does it too. Will say another thing about Viacom. They're going to be in the business of putting on fights as long as they're pulling over 1 million people on Friday night Bellator cards. If they can get, hell, they do 500,000-600,000 viewers on a Friday night paper or regular Bellator card. That's outstanding for Friday night television. They're going to take that all day.
Yeah, definitely. Last piece of the first word. The Tuesday Night Contender series. I'll start with, let's start with you, Nushan. What were your thoughts on the show? First ever Tuesday Night Contender series. What'd you think? Out of a 10, like I don't know what your expectations were going in, but 1 to 10, terrible to fantastic. What'd you think?
For a first show, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. I would give it, I don't know, like a 7. I thought it was good. I mean, I don't think they're taking themselves too seriously. Obviously, when they have the Snoopcast as a secondary option for audio, they're not taking it too seriously. But I don't know, it flowed well. The fights were good. And then after each fight, they would talk to the fighter. They would do the preview for the next fight, and then the next fight would be going. It was quick. It was enjoyable. Fights were good. I'm intrigued. I'll be watching. I mean, there's not much going on during the summer on a Tuesday night, so I don't know why you wouldn't watch.
Not in Canada, that's for sure.
That's for damn sure.
And Wes, after the first card, what did you like or didn't like, and if there's anything you would change, what would you want to see?
Man, honestly, going on a number scale, I would give last night like a 9.5. I absolutely loved it. We've talked, Jay, for a couple years about them doing weeknight MMA cards, just a quick 4 fights, couple hour. I mean, we've said the exact thing that they're doing. I thought it was great. It was kind of weird, the silence in the gym and stuff. I think maybe they could, if there's one little nitpicky thing, have people actually making a little noise the whole time one fight. That just seemed a little weird to me. But I thought it was great, man. The main event was if you follow MMA like we do, that was 2 really good fighters fighting in the main event. Like Sean said, it flowed well. the girl they had doing the interviews, I'd trade her out for Karen Bryant right now, immediately on the spot. Like we can make that trade. Like she sounded perfectly knowledgeable. I think she'd done in some Invicta before. But yeah, I thought it was really, really good. I like them giving the contract out after the show, kind of announcing that on the show. I thought that was a pretty good wrinkle. It gives you something to think about as the fights are going on. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't even bet the fights like we do, but if you're just watching, you can kind of like, I think that guy should get a contract or him. I thought that was pretty cool as well. They gave out 2 contracts too, so I guess we see there it's not just going to be one guy. If you go in there and perform, you got a chance of getting signed by the UFC. So yeah, I will definitely be watching it going forward. Like Sean said, what else are you doing on a Tuesday night in the summer? I mean, it's perfect for sports guys like us. I don't watch a ton of baseball, and there's just nothing else on. So yeah, I'm all for it. I thought it was great. Loved it.
They got to announce the scorecards, though. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That's completely agree.
That's another thing. You got to do that. They should have an announcer, I think. You just find somebody to do it. I mean, they should have some kind of announcer, like the ref, John McCarthy, just reading who won or just saying who won after the fight. That doesn't work.
Have Snoop do it.
Yeah.
Snoop's busy smoking a blunt. He's.
I will say the Snoopcast was decent. It's kind of what you want when you're doing that. Like, you don't want to be too serious watching that shit. I thought it was rather well. Uriah had decent, play-by-play of the fights, and Snoop just kind of acting stupid. I thought it was fun.
Yep.
Yeah, I would probably give it about an 8. The fights were fairly good overall. I mean, I didn't really like the heavyweight contest. To me, that I like kind of like a fast pace for like a quick show. Keep it with like, even lower weight kind of guys, because it just kind of speed and kind of goes along those lines. And I like the length of the show. I mean, when you talk about other sports, baseball's a 3.5 hour game per se. Football's just over 3 hours. Basketball's like a 2.5 hour game. Soccer's a 2 hour game. There's no reason why an MMA card can't be that length. Like, why? Like with these UFC shows, or even Bellator, you're talking about like a 5 hour, 6 hour show. Is there really a need for folks to have to pay the money they do for a 6 hour show? I mean, I think people are decently enough satisfied with like a 3 hour show. I mean, they're used to it with any other sport. So I really like that aspect. That was a 5 fight card. It was literally 2 hours on the dot, which is great. And you had some pretty good fighters on it. And I agree with Wes. I thought the compelling thing, and I had no idea how they're going to handle it, was the contracts. I thought that was really neat at the end that, okay, they're gonna go meet and they're gonna decide who's gonna get a UFC contract, and they talk to them after they get the contract, and they had the thing with Dana congratulating. I thought that was a really nice touch. And you're right, like it kind of gives you an incentive to watch it. You get to see who's gonna get the contract. You can kind of figure it out as the fights are going on. I wonder if they're gonna get a deal or not. Like, it's kind of like the bonus thing. So that's kind of a neat feature. I like the idea. I'm looking forward to the next one. I think there's gonna be 8 of them in the summer, and then I don't know if it's just kind of like maybe that's enough fighters that they kind of have to do it for now, or when Tough starts, it's kind of going to go away because the UFC has like a midweek thing to worry about. So I don't know, or it's kind of just a tryout. But the idea is interesting, and it's really refreshing in all honesty. So I thought it was great, and probably one of the best things they've done in years.
And the concept does push for exciting fights, because you're not going to get a contract just because you win. You have to win, and it has to be, exciting / impressive and stuff like that. So we should continue to see really good performances.
Yeah, and like Jay was saying about the contracts too, it's like really cool seeing like the kid, like the Boston Salmon guy, like, shaking Dana's hand, just being kind of like, oh shit, I just got signed by the UFC. Like, that's compelling television. Like, that's the kind of shit people want to see. I thought they did great, man.
Yeah, I think that maybe it's a tryout for TV as a potential Tough replacement. I think that would be a great Tough replacement, in all honesty. Like, why not? Like, do that for 8 to 10 weeks, like twice a year. have a midweek thing like that and be done. I don't know. Why not?
And even just another option for when the contract's up, like the TV deal.
Could be. That could be what they're doing. Wouldn't surprise me.
Seems like Tough is not going anywhere for some reason or another. Like, they just love Tough. I think it's their baby, man. I think it changed their whole, just changed everything. Tough did.
Or do Tough once a year. I don't know. Like, I'm just thinking, like, do Tough like in the fall, and then do like the, this thing like, as a replacement. So like a 12-week thing, and why not? That could be interesting too. Maybe that's another idea they're thinking about. I don't know. But if they're not, I hope you guys are hearing this or someone tells them it. Let's move on to last week's fights. There was a lot of them. We'll talk about the Tough card first. I'll read through the prelims. We'll give quick thoughts to each of you. Our dude, Gray Maynard, got a win. Beat, Teruto Ishihara 30-26 across the board. Tisha Torres actually finished somebody.
Yep, that's rough.
First time in like 6.5 years a fight she's been in didn't go to a decision.
First time ever, actually.
Yeah, first time ever, yeah.
Yeah. CB Dalloway won a third round, which he needed to win a fight over Ed Herman by decision. James Krause destroyed Tom Galicchio by decision. And then Angela Hill, another wide decision. So there were a bunch of wide decisions on this card. Any thoughts on those? Or no? I assume you guys want to talk about Gray. Wes?
Yeah. I bet a little bit on Ishihara for obvious reasons. But, I mean, Gray did what he had to do, man. There was an obvious path to victory. And I'm sure Fischel was jizzing all over himself when he cashed that. Tisha Torres kind of killed me on that finish. James Krause was really good line in that fight as well, even though he was like 3-1 to open or something like that. That was still a stupid line. Galicchio, got to get rid of that guy. He's just terrible, man.
He's a punching bag.
He is a punching bag. I felt bad for him getting hit.
Unless he gets you down.
I really felt bad for him.
He got Krause down in like the first minute, and I'm like, oh my God, seriously? Because I had Krause like a pretty big parlay. But yeah, Krause fought it off, man, and that was Galicchio's only shot. It went in that fight right there. He had to get that choke. But yeah, that dude's he needs to go. He's got like portable candy machines or something. But yeah, go get that candy money, Tom. Go get that candy money.
New Sean, thoughts?
Not much here. I mean, when Tisha Torres is the only one getting the finish on the prelims, it's fucking bad.
Yep.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, my girl Angela Hill got the result. I thought she's, I still think she's better than people give her credit for. I'll leave it at that. Next fights on the card. Jordan Johnson, not as dominant as we thought, but got the job done, 29-28 across the board. Brad Tavares with a couple of key moments in that third round to win a really tight fight with Elias. Really competitive fight. I guess, everybody kind of thought that was going to happen in terms of the tightness of the fight. The dude, Jared Cannonier, man, he's a different kind of dude. TKO, third round, vicious elbows on the ground. Draclar Closa, little bit of a hype train derailment against Nick Giese. Yep. And Jesse Taylor, submission, second round over Diego Lima. I'll save the main event for separate talk. Wes, thoughts on those main card fights?
The dude Jordan Johnson, I think he can be a little something. I think he just kind of cruised in that fight. I think he even said it after the fight that he did what he had to do to get a win there. But I mean, if he wants to move up and get some bigger fights, he's going to have to start, getting some dudes out of there. Tavares last. I mean, the over 2.5 was probably the easiest call on the entire fight card. Cannonier, yeah, man, that guy is something else, man. I think our dude Sean said it on Twitter though, like he's getting older, so if they're gonna push him, they need to push him now. Get him moving up the ladder quick because he's starting to get a little bit older. I kind of said it on the show when we was breaking down this card that I kind of like Close, man. I thought he had a perfect path to victory in that fight, and that like 2.5 to 1, I took a shot on it, and I still think Gaethje he's pretty good, man. He's just gonna have to work on that getting up a little more and that takedown defense. And yeah, I'd say it again, man. Jesse Taylor, I did not understand the opening line, the steam on Lima whatsoever. That just was a mismatch from the get-go. I saw people saying, well, Jesse Taylor's an idiot. I mean, he can get caught on something by Lima. If you saw Jesse on that show and coming off that show, his head was fully in the game. He wanted to make up for what happened last time, and he did fairly easy, man. So, yeah, one of my biggest MMA bets in a while, and appreciate it, old JT.
New Sean.
Jared Cannonier, the Jewish African-American from Alaska.
The only one.
The only one. And he's just rocking the sweet, like, old school shades.
Besides his kids.
And the shades that he was rocking, and then...
Good.
Oh, and then he's got to go back and do some Bible studying or whatever the Jewish folk do. That was...
Yawa, man.
He's an interesting character. I liked it. That definitely could have been stopped a little bit earlier. He was just beating down the new guy. I mean,
Dude's got a chin though, don't he?
Yeah, but you're gonna disintegrate.
You're gonna lose that chin pretty fast.
Letting him get the shit beat out of him.
Yeah.
Gaethje, he's got flash, but he needs a little more substance. Like, I think he's just got to pick his spots. I know he's crazy athletic and he can throw some crazy shit, but I mean, in the third round, he's throwing spin kicks and stuff like that. Like, you need to work on the fundamentals and just picking your spots better of when to throw some wild shit. Yeah, I was there with Wes. Obviously, I didn't have anywhere near the amount of money that he did on JT money, but I was still clenching my butt cheeks real tight.
Yeah.
Taylor decides to take an uppercut, and then 10 seconds later, he's choking Diego Lima. You know,
it's funny how that happens, right?
I lost a few years, dude.
Yeah.
I lost a few years right there, man.
That's Jesse Taylor in a nutshell. Just like dominates in the first, almost gets knocked the fuck out, and then subs a guy 10 seconds later. Like, you never know.
Insane.
It was a good story, though. I mean, it was perfect, a perfect ending to the tough redemptions season. You know, I mean, that's what it was. He left the UFC, he fought like mid 40 sometimes, and made it back and won $290,000. Good for him.
yeah.
Such a weird number.
Well, it was 250, and then I think it was 10 per finish. That's why it was such a weird number.
From the show, and then the final.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
UFC pay scale, Connor 1, Jesse Taylor 2, fucking roster 3.
I mean, so Jared Cannonier is talking about moving down to middleweight potentially.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't have an answer to this, but I'm curious if you guys know of anybody that's potentially done this. If he wins a fight at middleweight, he would have wins in 3 different weight classes in the UFC. How many guys have done that?
Kenny Florian's the only other guy I can think of.
Yeah. I think there might be. I think there might be one other.
Rumble? No.
Rumble lost at his only middleweight, or he didn't even make middleweight against Vitor. I think that was his only one that he fought middleweight. So
I think there was when they always talked about Kenny Florian doing that. They named somebody else.
Did Diego never won at 145?
Did BJ
right?
do that? Did BJ ever? The BJ never won at featherweight.
No, and
he never won at featherweight.
Neither did Diego. So yeah, I don't know. It might just be Florian at this point.
Yeah. What about or no, because he never did.
Well,
one.
Connor.
Yeah.
Connor.
He did beat Nate Diaz at 170.
Yeah.
I guess he's the only one that's gone up and done it instead of dropping down. But yeah, he would be the only other one that has won in 3 different weight classes.
So that's a pretty impressive feat for McNutty too.
Yeah, but he also fought a 155er.
And they were chosen fights, right?
Well, no, I mean he fought Nate Diaz, who's a 155er, but
that's
still
true.
It's still impressive. I mean,
it's still done.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, the main event,
the thing that saved this entire fucking card.
Yep.
Justin Gaethje, Michael Johnson. Let's just give it about, I don't even know, what is it, almost 10 minutes of just pure glory. Where do you rank this fight this year overall? Is it too new to really put it in the all-timers? I'll let Wes start first.
Yeah, I mean, you got to let it marinate a little bit to start talking all time. But I mean, as far as recent, memory, I mean, goddamn, you don't get. That's all you could want in an all-time classic fight. You know what I'm saying? But man, I thought I had it right. I mean, I was on MJ. I thought I had it right. He had Gaethje just literally out on his feet multiple times, dude. And I don't know. It was like there was a headbutt that got landed like really.
That's what started the whole thing.
Yeah, it got landed really early, and then like MJ seemed like off for a little bit, man. He almost looked like he was gassed because he was sweating real bad, and he just kind of looked delusional. But it was the headbutt. I don't know. Then he got back in the fight, man, and had Gaethje like hurt bad. I thought Gaethje was done. Then Gaethje just does what he does, man. I mean, the dude's gonna have applesauce for brains at like 35. He's already slurring his words and stuff, man. It's just incredible that he can still take the shots that he takes. But I mean, you talk about like. I think there's 2 like different kinds of chins in MMA. There's guys that have like a chin and get hit and just never get hurt, and there's guys that have recovery that like get hit, hurt, recover, and then go on and fight. And Gaethje's got some of the best recovery I think we've ever seen. It's incredible, man. But more power to him, man. And I think his post fight speech got him as many fans and people wanting to see Gaethje more than the actual fight did. Just show me my equal. It was like, who you want? Well, just show me my equal, dude. Like, it was really good, man. Just the fight, the post fight. Gaethje can make some big fights in the UFC now. He's a name that you see the guys were all over Twitter calling him out. I mean, It was awesome, man. Great fight. Will probably go down as an all-timer, and it's probably the best fight this year. Just crazy shit. It was awesome.
New Sean.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the, if not the best, first fight from a champion coming over from another major organization. I mean, he was just an absolute fucking savage. You gotta watch that fight again and again and again. It's just wild. The momentum swings, and you just think both of them are done at multiple points, and just crazy. And then to top it all off, the good post fight speech. I didn't know what to expect from Gaethje coming into the UFC. I did think that his defense is going to be an issue, and it still will be at a point. Yeah. But man, just his constant forward pressure and leg kicks and recovery that's a bad thing to deal with against pretty much any fighter you throw at him. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to see him fight again. It's an absolute violence god right there.
Yeah, it was a tremendous fight. But like for me, I think the fight to make though for Gaethje is Tony Ferguson. I know there's been talk about Eddie Alvarez, Kevin Lee, and whomever else, but the Ferguson fight, I think he's kind of like the equal. Like remember the fight with Lando Venata? He took shots. He was wobbled. Mm-hmm. He kind of comes back like an absolute savage and finishes people. It's very
like
similar.
The same guy. Yeah, like the same.
The mentality is very similar. I think Gaethje hits harder. And I think Tony's got a much better submission game. So there's definitely some wrinkles, but in terms of just going out for a war and there's zero way that fight's not entertaining. I mean, zero possible way. The fight could be like they have these fight of the night props, and they're always like plus 300 is the favorite. Some are like plus 1,000 and all that other like 2,000. Like that fight would be like minus like 500 fight of the night. It'd be like the most like. There's just no way. I mean,
easy money.
You could put that fight anywhere in the world. I'll find a way to get there. That's one fight I think that'd be the most entertaining fight you could possibly see in mixed martial arts right now. It would be just an absolute, just
him
wild.
And Eddie would be good.
It would be good, but
I think Eddie might just wrestle. Like honestly, he has before, and
he would get finished.
But
Gaethje would toss Eddie off of him.
True.
Yeah, Gaethje would toss Eddie off of him and put him into a firefight.
That's true.
But I think Ferguson, I agree, that's the better fight. But him against Eddie is great. Him against T-Ferg's great. I mean, him against Barboza would be good, but he'd get Barboza. It'd be a more one-sided fight. There's a few fights to make for Gaethje, man. He's gonna give you exciting fights. He's gonna against a guy like Khabib. I think it's probably gonna be kind of boring, and he might be in trouble. But that wrestling, man, who knows? Maybe he can keep Khabib up. You know what I'm saying? Who knows, man? He's got intriguing fights to be made now, dude.
So do you think the reason that they've kind of leaked that and pushed the whole Gaethje Alvarez thing is because they think they're going to do Khabib versus Tony?
Because they want to do Khabib versus
Dana
Tony.
Wants that fight, too. That's the big thing, I think. When he wants a fight, they usually get made. You know what I'm saying? And I think there's just something. He wants that fight. I think, like most fans want that fight, too.
Yeah, because
especially after it was dangled and we didn't get it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Because if Khabib wasn't in the picture, it would. I don't see how they wouldn't do Ferguson Gaethje. Like, it doesn't make sense. So that's got to be something that they're definitely trying to put together.
It's looking like Eddie, the way even Ariel was talking like yesterday, that the sides are really
better not put it on tough. That's all I know.
No, yeah. And it better not be Kevin Lee either. Do not fucking make Kevin Lee and Gaethje. Don't fucking even do that, dude. Yeah. Like, it might be fun for just a little bit, but yeah, nobody wants that whatsoever. Yeah, and I think that Tough Ideal is like really bad too. It's not like bad per se that it wouldn't be entertaining, but nobody wants to wait for that fight, and nobody wants that curse put on that fight.
Eddie Gaethje on Tough will be terrible. At least Kevin Lee will be like he'll play that role, and it'll be entertaining TV. That's the only reason to potentially do it. I could see why they want Kevin Lee on the TV because they think he's like a McGregor in terms of the personality, and he's got like he's a big personality in terms of what he could offer there, but. It's just a different kind of a fighter.
Eddie on Tough would not be good. No. I just don't. I don't see that working too well. Yeah. Just give us the damn fight, man.
Yeah. Let's move on to the pay-per-view card next day. Amanda Nunes sinusitis or whatever they're talking about. Oh Jesus! What a disaster. What a disaster. Anyway, prelims were 4 new guys. The Fight Pass prelims, we could talk about those 2 by themselves. Trevin Giles, second round knockout over James Bogdanovich, and then Cody Stamann with a 30-27s and then a 29-28 over Terrion Ware. Of those 4 guys that you saw, how many of them do you think have staying power in the UFC? Nushan, I'll start with you.
I think at least one maybe 2. Bochnevich is terrible. I mean, he's that Midwest fucking Rothwell fighter. He's terrible. I mean, we kind of saw that.
That's true.
Tyrion Ware could be good. He's got to work on that takedown defense. He looked good striking. He was nice and calm, but Cody Stamann was just bowling through him on those takedowns. So, I think Giles and Stamann could definitely stick around for a bit.
Wes, what do you think? You agree with New Sean?
Yeah, from what I saw, we were kind of watching these fights driving back after the match on a phone, so I didn't get to watch them as closely as I could. But I could see Cody Stamann he looked pretty decent. So yeah, definitely him. And I've seen Giles and Ware fight on lower level cards, and they're both fairly talented. With the way the UFC is now, they probably belong in the UFC. So I could see those 3 guys sticking around for sure.
That's fair. I mean, Giles looked pretty good. I think he's got a nice all-around game, but again, the talent was terrible. I do like what I see from Stamann, though, so I think he's definitely got staying power. Moving up to the TV prelims, Bilal Muhammad beats Jordan. I'm not sure if I want to fight anymore. Maine by decision. Thiago Santos with just some hellacious ground and pound TKOs. Gerald Mearshart. Chad Laprise, 3rd round comeback TKO? Maybe. And then maybe the most interesting fight on the prelims.
The best
Alexei Oleinik subs Travis Brown. Subs him.
Fuck.
Subs him in the 2nd round.
Oh my God.
Bilal Muhammad, Alexei Oleinik. New Sean. Thoughts on these fights? What's up next for Travis Brown?
He's Mrs. Rousey.
Yeah. I didn't catch the Bilal Muhammad Jordan Mean fight. I saw some highlights of it. It seemed like Bilal Muhammad just kind of, got out of the first, and all you need to do is get out of the first against Mean, and then you're pretty much golden. So, Mean should retire and stay retired, not come back after a couple of years. Santos is a scary dude. I saw lots of people kind of pumping up the Meerkat, but no bueno on that one, that's for sure. I had the over in the Laprise Camozzi fight.
Oh, man.
It looked pretty good, and then fucking just gets a liver shot and just crumples Camozzi. I was like, you son of a bitch. Laprise is still a fade. That guy was minus what? He got up to like minus 700.
Yeah.
That fight was close.
Yep.
I mean, Laprise was going to probably win, and fairly easily, but man, never. I don't know. If you don't want to be giving yourself ulcers, do not lay minus 4, 5, and 600 on Chad Laprise. And then unless
you can bless him,
because then you're all good. Fucking bastard. And as for Mr. Rousey, this was glorious. I loved this fight because all I wanted to see was Travis Brown tap out to some old fucking dude that has no business beating Travis Brown, but Travis Brown is just so shitty as a fighter at this point that he got tapped out by Alexei Oleinik. Fucking disgraceful.
He basically did a BJ Penn in Top Control in that 2nd round. Just sat on there and then like he was so tired or so whatever that he offered nothing when he had like full mount.
Yeah.
That's pretty stunning. Wes, anything in particular you want to say about these?
I got lucky and got a couple openers. Got Muhammad at even money. I saw somebody tweet out that Mean's dad wasn't in his corner this time, and my only thought was, now he's got 0 reasons to fight in this fight. So, like my bet after that, got Santos on the opener at plus 150. That was just ridiculous. I could see the case people were making for Muskrat, but man, Santos is a scary guy, dude. Like, he's a problem for a lot of people. with that power. I think he's still got some obvious holes, but man, that's just a scary dude. I took a little shot on Camozzi. I think he was like plus 500 or something. But you never go against the Lord, like never. It's not good for you. Yeah, man, Travis Brown, Jesus Christ. And he had him like stunned bad at one point too. Was it a knee or something? That he got him with he had Olenek stunned bad, and just, man, he completely wanted out of there. He was just laying there like, choke me, dude. Just choke me. Let me out. I got a wedding. Just let me out of here, dude. Yeah, Travis Brown should just go away, man. I would imagine they got decent money. We don't need to see this dude anymore. Just go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Main card.
That is correct.
Main card. Rob Font, submission over Douglas Silva de Andrade. Thoughts, Nushan, on that one?
That was impressive. I wasn't really high on Rob Font, but he, won that fight from start to finish. He put it on Douglas Silva de Andrade and was able to get the tap there. I had a little bit of money on de Andrade plus 3.5, but yeah, good stuff from Rob Font. Maybe he will actually do something now, because I didn't think much of him, but yeah, it's good.
Wes, what's your ceiling for this guy?
Yeah, well, I was on the same side too. I put a little money on the dog there. I thought it would be a little bit closer of a fight, but yeah, man, Rob Font looked really good in that fight. I don't know how far he can go, man. He's still fairly limited. Who knows, man? Good win though, good performance. I'll give you that.
Next fight, Anthony Pettis returns to lightweight, 30-27 decision over Jim Miller. Even scored some takedowns in this bout. What do you think about that? Anthony Pettis, some offensive wrestling game? About time, right, Nushan?
Yeah, well, I mean, he did kind of have to wait until Jim Miller was almost a corpse to get it, but I mean, he credit to Anthony Pettis. He looked much more like the Anthony Pettis that we used to know, and that was an exciting fighter. I don't know if this is just because he was fighting Jim Miller, who doesn't really have much of a reply to Anthony Pettis' game, but I'm still skeptical of what Anthony Pettis is at this point in his career. But definitely an impressive win.
What'd you think about it, Wes? Do you think we see a rejuvenated Anthony Pettis, or just a better matchup for him?
Well, the matchup was great. I didn't get Pettis being around. Just a 2-1 fave against Jim Miller. That was kind of crazy to me, but he's obviously better back up at this weight. I don't know. We got to see him against somebody a little better than Jim Miller. I mean, just skill for skill, Pettis should beat Jim Miller every time out. I'd like to see him just try to, get a little bit bigger and stay at 55. I mean, it's obviously what he's got to do now, but yeah, who knows? We have to see him against somebody better.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely a solid win, but let's not get carried away here. There's no reason for that yet at this point.
Yeah.
Next, Curtis Blades couldn't score a takedown against Omilanchuk. What's going on here? Still won, but yeah. Nushan, not a good performance, huh?
It was a good performance for Fatty's Gonna Fatty. That's all I know. That was a fucking easy one.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Wes. Now that you said that, that's enough, I think. Wes, are you on the FBF train too, or?
Oh yeah. No, all I gotta say here is any of y'all that thought like Curtis Blades and Hagano would be any kind of match if they rematched somewhere that, like, we can see they're both obviously going in two separate directions. I mean, Blades, I think it still can be really good. The division is absolute crap, but those guys are on two separate levels.
Yeah, they are. Fair enough. Blades is going to have his moments in the UFC. Not his best work here, but
a tough matchup. That was a tough guy.
I mean, yeah, he's much bigger than him, but that was just a great. I mean, Omielonchuk had never shown he could stop takedowns before. He really put in some work here, which is pretty impressive that he was able to do that. And had a pretty good strategy. It just wasn't enough. But yeah, we'll see from Blades in the future. I'm confident in that. The co-main event of the evening, Alistair Overeem majority decision. You agree with the 28-28, wins the first 2 rounds, and then, has to survive in round 3. Nushan, you agree with that scorecard? How'd you score this fight?
If I didn't have money on it, I probably would have went with a draw. But I had a good chunk of change on Overeem, so I'll be like, yeah, it was definitely 29-28. No 10-8 in the third. Fuck me. I don't understand Overeem. Overeem, it was just that was a bad fight. Who are we kidding?
Yeah.
It was just, nothing was happening because Overeem was just looking to counterpunch and Verdum wasn't gonna to lead, so it turned into just a brutal fight, and I'm not really surprised. I mean, that's kind of how their second fight went, which is a lot more butt scooting in the second fight, but yeah, Overeem just decides to make me grow another ulcer by just getting almost flatlined by Fabricio Verdum in the third. Good stuff. Heavyweight's terrible, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't score 10-8, but of course, I was on Reem as well. I mean, he trying to take, my bias out of it. I think old rules, it's really borderline. New rules, it's a 10-8. I'm not sure which ones they were using.
The old ones.
I think it was old, yeah. So I think that's borderline old rules, but I mean, new rules, that would absolutely been a 10-8. Yeah, man. I mean, I think we talked about, Reem winning this fight, and one of the reasons was just that the way he fights now. He fights more tentative, smart. But man, it makes for some shitty fights when he doesn't get a later finish or something. So, and I think this was just like another fight on a really, really lackluster pay-per-view. Man, I think the whole card was kind of meh, and yeah, this was kind of bad. But cash the Reem and move on. I don't see how you give Reem another title shot right now at this point, though. I know he was talking about that. Coming off something like that, I don't want to see Reem fighting Stipe, or maybe give him Hagano or something if he beats JDS, and you don't want to give him a title shot right off. It's another name for Hagano, but I think he's probably going to get a title shot if he beats JDS. So yep. I don't know what you do with Reem at this point.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Kane, but he's never healthy, or if Nagano beats JDS. I mean, he has to. The reality is, there's who else is there?
Yeah, just nobody.
There really is nobody else who's proven some worth.
Kane supposedly back in October is what Dana White was trying to say, but you know how Dana White is. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he still hasn't fought forever, and he hasn't proven he's going to show up to a fight. So there's definitely that problem as well. So
yep.
Keep that in mind. And then, our main event of the evening, Yoel Romero, Robert Whittaker. Interesting contest.
Man.
But maybe the easiest fight to score in title fight history. That,
yep.
It was a competitive decision. Maybe
and didn't see like a lot of, you always see even in close fights like that, even when you think the scoring's clear, you still see like Twitter split. I didn't see nobody split on this one. This was just pretty much the closest thing to a consensus decision on Twitter that I think I've seen.
Yeah,
which is surprising in a close fight. It was interesting.
Yep. But seems justified though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I even had money on one side and wanted one side to win really, really bad, and thought it was still easy to score.
Yep.
So what did you guys think of the fight? Were you entertained? Was it a letdown?
Yeah, I'll go first. I thought it was kind of a little bit of a letdown, honestly. I think we all hyped it up. It wasn't a bad fight, don't get me wrong. I thought it was compelling. It had its moments, but it wasn't some like crazy good fight or anything. It wasn't no it wasn't no Rory Lawler or anything like that kind of 5-round championship fight, but it was good. I thought Yoel looked really good. People tried to use, Whitaker was hurt early and stuff, so but Whitaker got hurt by Yoel. You know what I'm saying? He did that damage. But I thought Yoel gave the fight away in the third round. He did absolutely nothing in the third round. I thought that was a round that if he would have kept pushing, I think he could have took the first 3 rounds and won the fight. He took the third off. I think he threw like 4 or 5, landed 4 or 5 punches. It was just terrible. I'm screaming the whole time. So they were like, "What are you doing, dude?" And then it was still tied going into the 5th, and Yoel slipped at one point with about 3 minutes left. He slipped, and Whitaker got on top. That was the fight. I don't know how it plays out if Yoel didn't slip. I know he was gassed hard, but to start the 5th, he was throwing. He was back in the fight and was looking fairly good. So I don't know how it plays out if he doesn't slip, but I'd have liked to find out. I hate that's what I think cost the round. I mean, Whitaker rode out top position after that, but I'd have liked to see him stand up the rest of the fight and see what happened. But good fight. Whitaker's going to dust Bisping. I don't think anybody's like not thinking that, and I'd like to see Whitaker and Yoel fight again. I'd almost rather see Whitaker smoke Bisping and then Yoel smoke Bisping right after that. That would probably be, more to my liking. But either which way, it was a decent fight. Nothing spectacular or anything.
Yeah, I guess not a surprise. If I thought of I was like, the only way I see Yoel losing is if it goes long and he gets tired. I mean, I guess it's really not too much of a surprise that he was going to tire out. I mean, he is 40 years old. I mean, that's really his only weakness at this point is conditioning. And he's just not as young as some of these dudes. So a shame to see him lose and see him lose in that fashion, but I guess really not a surprise. He was either going to win early or that was the way it's going to play out.
He could have won the 5th, though. That's the thing. I know people say, and he was gassing.
Well, he really held up in the 4th.
He was in the 5th. He was in.
Well, he was in the 4th too until there was he was in there for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying
he's trying to pick and choose his spots.
Yeah, but in the 5th, you could see he came out and was in it. I mean, the round was as even can be, and a slip pretty much cost him. Now, they could have been that he was a little tired. It looked like he just slipped on blood and shit, but I think he was still in the fight. I know he was gassing, but it wasn't like Whitaker wasn't tired either. I just don't I don't think that just the straight not having the stamina cost him the fight. I don't really agree with that here. I know he was gassing, but it looked like in the 5th, he was in the round and it was even as it could be through a little over 2 minutes. So, it was close. I think it was close. I think Whitaker just got him in that spot.
I think you got to give a lot of credit to Robert Whitaker. I mean, his knee did get jacked up pretty early, but man, his fucking takedown defense in that fight was unreal, and that made Yoel work a lot harder than he had to. And I think that definitely helped him to take the late rounds. That was like some of those. I cannot believe that Whitaker did not get taken down on a bunch of those shots. It was insane. Yeah, now I'm excited for Whitaker. Just hope and pray that nothing's too messed up in his knee, and hopefully he can just murder Bisping and we can forget that ever happened. Bisping being a champion. Yes. Let's forget that ever happened.
Yeah, let's forget that ever happened.
Dan Henderson is the true other champ.
We got fights to break down for this week. We touched on the Bellator briefly before. There's no lines out for that yet. As of this recording, so we will not be touching on those fights. But there is a UFC card in Scotland this week. UFC Crossing the Pond for a 12-fight card. Lines are out. We'll talk about those in varying levels of detail. I have a feeling these first few fights may not be as detailed as others. So I'll let you guys either just pick winners or bets, or if you got any breakdown of some of these fights, you can certainly do that, but that's up to you. New Sean, I'll start with you. First fight on the card. We know maybe your specialty's in play. I guess you'll let me know. Leslie Smith, Amanda Lemos, women's bantamweight bout. Go.
Lemos is making her debut, so there's no chance that I am betting the over.
Oh, is that an angle?
That's my angle. I've kind of learned my lesson. There's been some debuting fighters that are really, really shitty and get finished, and then there's some debuting fighters that are way better than what I think they are, so I kind of steer clear of that. I expect Leslie Smith to survive the first and probably win the second and third.
Okay. Wes, any opinion here? Are you Are you gonna do a women's over like a New Sean thing, or no?
No, I'll pass on that. Yeah, Leslie Smith should win this fight, but I don't know much about the other girl, so I thought minus 150 was a little low on Leslie Smith, so she's in one of my stupid, crazy parlays I put together.
Shark City, baby.
Yeah, but that's about it. She should win this fight, but I don't know much about the other girl. Leslie Smith to be the pick, though.
I'll give you my grades on these. I got Leslie Smith a C, Amanda Lemos a D+. Amanda Lemos seems to be a pretty heavy hitter for this weight class, but after one round, she does really tend to slow down. And she does throw punches and bunches. That's probably the best way to put it. And she's pretty physical, but she is short for the weight class. And she does tire. And she's facing just a fighter who, Leslie Smith, trains with the Diaz boys. She's going to come out and she'll be throwing for the entire fight. So I think it's a volume contest for Leslie Smith. She could have some issues early. And she has to be a little bit weary. But after, 3, 4, 5 minutes, I think, she really takes over in this fight and, wins with volume. So, it could be a late stoppage, could be a decision, but I think this is Leslie Smith's fight to lose. Next fight, Brett Johns making his second fight in the UFC, taking on Albert Morales, and maybe one of the more underrated tilts on this card. Sean?
I think Brett Johns is so pasty that he's going to blind Albert Morales and knock his ass out. I hope the spotlight isn't shining too bright on Johns, because that reflection could seriously do some damage to some people in the crowd. He is pasty, and I know pasty. I'm from Canada, I'm cracker ass white, but he's a ghost. It's crazy. Yeah, I'll pick Brett Johns to knock him out.
Wes.
Yeah, Brett Johns should win this fight, but man, minus 400 here. I think it's a little crazy. I might pick Morales and Toutmaster, but no bet. Johns would be the pick as of right now.
I got Johns a C, Albert Morales a D+. I think this comes down to Johns' wrestling. I think his grappling is pretty solid. Morales hasn't shown the takedown defense necessary to win this fight. I think Johns doesn't want to waste time on the feet. I think I don't think that would be a good decision. Morales definitely throws wild and he'll come with reckless abandon. That could be dangerous. So I think Johns take this to the ground where he's got a big advantage. Johns by decision, probably 30-27. Next fight up, we got Danny Henry against a newcomer, Danny Henry, versus Daniel Tamer, brother of David Tamer. So we got another UFC brother connection going on here. New Sean, any thoughts on this one?
Well, Daniel Tamer is definitely the lesser of the brother, but the guy he's fighting is terrible. So I played Daniel Tamer small.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Wes, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I haven't seen much of either of these guys, but man, this Danny Henry dude's fighting in fucking EFC and shit, and you got to figure Tamer is getting a lot better training with his brother, and All Stars is a decent gym over there. So I'm going on our boy Bradley's advice. He thinks this is a little low here, so I put Tamer in a little parlay as well. He'll be the pick here.
Yeah, I got Tamer a D plus, and Danny Henry a D minus. Henry has some finishes to his name for sure, but the biggest difference in this bout is just fluidity and striking comfortability. I mean, Henry is he strikes with, he's just very tight in his striking, just really not fluid at all in his motion, and it's all he kind of needs to get inside to have success because it's all kind of contracted into, he doesn't really elongate his strikes, I guess is the best way to put it. While on the flip side, Tamer is very comfortable at distance, very fluid, very confident in his striking. And I think there's going to be openings for him there. I think that's really the biggest difference. I don't think we really see much of the grappling in this bout. I think Tamer keeps his distance, and it's going to land flush, fairly early in this fight, and it's going to be all she wrote. So I think Daniel Taylor is a pretty solid bet. I got him in a parlay myself with someone later on the card, but I'll also be looking at the inside the distance and the TKO props once they come out. Next fight up, I know this is one of your favorites, Wes. Conor McGregor groupie, Charlie Ward, taking on something called, this can't be a real name, can it? Galore Bafando?
English? What the fuck?
Kind of? New Sean?
Kind of.
All right, I got some dirt. John Kavanagh has been putting in some serious time with Charlie Ward. He's fucking just drilling him, just giving him all
master trainer John Kavanagh,
just giving him all the fight tips. And Charlie Ward's gonna take some leaps and bounds, and he's gonna last 55 seconds before getting knocked out by something called Galore Bafando.
I mean, that's really nice of him to do,
right?
Yeah. Wes?
Look, there's only one dude that ever walked this earth that should be carrying the name Charlie Ward, and that dude played point guard in the Garden.
That's right.
Damn right he did.
Yeah, I like
he also won a Heisman.
Yeah. I like the Galore here. I've seen a tiny bit. Dude's a monster, man, but he's got a little bit of a layoff. Kind of worries me.
2.5 years.
Yeah, kind of worries me. He's also, which I haven't seen him, but he's got 2 disqualification losses on his record too. That kind of worries me. The dude seems like a complete maniac, but I took a small shot here. He's in another one of my stupid parlays just for fun. He should knock out Charlie Ward here. I'm going to look at whatever inside the distance or KO is or inside the distance when the props come out too. If the guy shows up and doesn't get disqualified for something stupid, he should knock Charlie Ward out here. So, yeah, Galore Bafando is the pick.
Yeah, I got Galore Bafando at D. Charlie Ward is my lowest graded fighter other than CM Punk in the UFC.
Yes.
F minus.
Damn.
He is terrible! There is no other way to put it. He fought once before and was just a complete punching bag. I mean, Galore Bafando hasn't really shown or had a need to show any semblance of a wrestling game. He's the type, if he gets taken down, he's just going to try to use his athletic form and try to push you as far as possible away from him so that he can stand back up to his feet. But his striking is really impressive. If you really spend some time and watch it, there's this really kind of like a beautiful art. It's kind of more of a kung fu type of kickboxing. I heard him kind of talking about it, and that's kind of how he described it. He uses axe kicks. He uses a lot of spinning attacks. He's got really vicious kicks, and he can punch. He throws heavy. He is the definition of an athletic fighter from Central Africa.
Racist.
And it's Charlie Ward. I mean,
but he's got a 12-inch piece too.
Charlie Ward actually went to the ground with him. I mean, and showed something. I mean, maybe he could win this fight, but I don't see that. Charlie Ward seems like a guy who's just going to push forward and try to strike with somebody. And that's just an absolute recipe for disaster here. This guy Bafando is like 30 times the striker that Charlie Ward is. So we saw what happened in Charlie Ward's first fight. That's absolutely going to happen here if there's any sort of prolonged striking exchange. Bafando by knockout. I'll be looking at the TKO prop whenever that's released. I'm hoping it's If it's anywhere near even money or if it's plus money, God help us, I'll be in. Moving on. Interesting flyweight bout. I believe this is Neil Series' last bout in MMA. He'll be taking on Brazilian Alexander Pantoja. New Sean.
Yeah, kind of everybody was fairly high on Pantoja in the tough contest or whatever you want to call it. And then he lost against Oji Kubo in the semis, and everybody was wondering if he's actually as good as what people thought he was. And then he did what he did against Shelton, and he's a good fighter, man. I think he's much better than Neil Seary. Neil Seary is fairly limited as a fighter. He's tough as nails, but it's kind of a weird fight with Seary being he's going to retire after this, so who knows, maybe he just goes insane and gets caught, so I'm not really touching the over. And I just kind of usually steer clear of retirement fights unless I see some huge edge, but Pantoja is very skilled. I think he's going to be pretty damn good in the flyweight division, so I expect him to win, and pretty wide. I might look at taking him -3.5 if it's pretty low when it comes out.
That seems reasonable. Wes, your thoughts here? I think you're on. I think you like Pantoja too, right?
Yeah, this is. I think this is the widest fight on the card. Honestly, I really like Pantoja a lot. I think the dude could be really, really good in this division. I know he got beat on the tough show. All those guys on that show were really, really good flyweights. I think the weight cuts over and over in the house kind of got to him. He gassed really hard in that fight. I've seen, Brad talked about him slowing down against Sirius. Siri puts a pace on him, but man, Shelton did that, and Shelton's really good too, and he looked just fantastic in that fight. I think he stops Siri here, man. I think he gets a sub somewhere in the second or third round. I'll probably look at the points handicap as well to be safe, but I put him in a parlay with somebody else on the card at around even money, and it's one of my two biggest bets on the card. But yeah, I love Pantoja in this fight. I think the retirement angle kind of works against Siri. He's probably going to, like Sean said, go out there and go all out and end up getting caught in some. That's kind of my thinking as well. But yeah, Pantoja, big here for me.
Yeah, I got Pantoja C, Neil Seary a C-, maybe closer to a D+. I mean, Seary's a pretty tough customer. He's fought, some of the best in the division, including Kyoji Horiguchi, and wasn't finished in that bout. So he's a guy who's very durable, tough to finish. And if you take your foot off the pedal, he's someone who could be competitive, for sure. But I do like Pantoja here in this bout. I think his grappling form, really lets him play into this fight. He's very dangerous, with his grappling, and his takedown skills are definitely underrated. Or rather, his takedowns, ability to score takedowns is underrated. I think that's going to be able to play a big factor in this bout because I think he'll go right to the grappling, and Seary hasn't really shown much in his career in terms of stuffing takedowns on a consistent basis. So I like Alexander Pantoja here. I'm not convinced there's going to be a stoppage, though. I think decision's more likely, but he'll do enough and control enough of the grappling exchanges to win this bout. I parlayed him with Daniel Tamer. So that was -104. So Pantoja and Daniel Tamer -104. Preliminary main event, if that's what we're going to call it. Bobby Nash against Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts. Thoughts on that, New Sean?
The nasty one. Bobby Nash did pretty decent against our buddy little Jangalang in his fight. I was in attendance to watch that, and and then Jangalang kind of caught him and took him out. I don't know if he's going to have a letdown after kind of doing decently well in his debut and then just getting knocked the fuck out. Danny Roberts does have quite a few finishes on his record. We were talking earlier, Wes and I, on the podcast or before the podcast, and he was saying that the under might be a decent play. It's 2.5 at -115. I think that's kind of the only way to play this one. I haven't played it yet, but I will likely play it, and I will pick Danny Roberts to sub him in like the second. Yeah, let's go with sub him.
It works.
Wes?
Yeah, I don't have too much to say as far as just breaking it down. I think Roberts he's got a little bit more experience in the cage. He ran into a guy that's just got devastating punching power that we can see now, and even still went almost an entire fight with Mike Perry, which is insane. He got clocked with some shit in that fight. Beat a decent guy, Dominic Steele. Sean's right, though. Bobby Nash was in the fight with Lil Jangalang, but Jangalang's kind of a slow starter. He's done that quite a bit, and he still got him out of there. I think Roberts gets a finish in this fight, too. He could get caught. Nash throws some heavy stuff. He caught Jangalang with some stuff. So, yeah, like Sean said, I played the under. I think somebody gets taken out in there. I'm saying knockout. I think it's Roberts more than likely catches him with something. He'll be the pick, but instead of a side, I went under. I think that's the safer bet in this fight.
Yeah, I got Bobby Nash at D and Danny Roberts a C-. Reason being is Danny Roberts just more well-rounded, more tools. Ground game, has some submissions as well. I think that's the difference. You're talking about a guy with just more tools in the war chest, so to speak. I think that's the difference. It could be a sub. I mean, really, I could see Roberts win by any of the three methods potentially. I guess the knockout's probably less likely in my opinion, but I guess I wouldn't be completely surprised. But Nash is a tough customer. He'll certainly come forward, and it'll be I think it'll be entertaining. So, we'll leave it at that for now. Moving up to the main card, I can't honestly say I know much about James Mulherone, so I assume no one else does. But he's taking on Justin Willis, who's supposed to debut, a while ago, and then I think he got sick or something with a weight cut, and then ultimately didn't fight. So, yeah. Either of you guys have anything to say on this bout?
This Mulherone guy's fattied 3 times in a row, so maybe that's something to look at.
Heavyweight with 3 straight decisions? I mean, how often does that happen? Well, not when you're not named Jared Rochelle.
Well, the second one went over, but it was 356 into the second round. Oh. It's not a decision, but it still went fatty, so that might be something to look at, but who knows?
And what is the line?
1.5 minus 130.
Over or under?
Over.
The over. Okay. Wes?
Shockingly, I've seen both of these guys fight, but cannot remember a thing about them. I haven't gone back and watched anything on them, but I sprinkled on fatties just out of blind faith that they will go fatty. Pick is going to be Willis.
Okay. I honestly have not done my Mulherone research yet.
Yeah,
so,
how dare you do
it? I think I'll get to that before the end of the week, and you'll see that up. And you'll get to that on MMA Oddsbreaker. I like to have my scouting reports on there. I think they provide a good resource for people that don't know much about some of these newcomers, and they could be useful. So, look for that later in the week. And the U.S. finally scored. Miracle.
Oh yes. Who got it?
Omar Gonzalez I'm gonna have to sidebar here. I mean, it took 52 minutes and change
to score in a country that I didn't even know they existed.
I know we're going with an experimental roster, but guys, come on.
Minus 500 faves. 2 go faves in this match.
Not a good look.
And I know it's been raining there, but still, I mean, this is anyway. Let's move on to a fight I think you guys want to talk about a little bit. Definitely something more worthwhile than the previous bout. So, Paul Craig, the Bear Jew, aka Lance Fishel,
and he didn't show up.
Yeah, we hope he's going to show up on Sunday when this fight happens. Fighting on home turf against Khalil Robert Roundtree. The fucking shaft in the house. I'll start with you, Sean. What do you think about this? Does Lance have a shot in this bout?
I don't think so. I mean, there is a way for him to win. I know everybody's kind of down on Roundtree because he lost to Andrew Sanchez and then lost to Tyson Pedro, but he does have some skill, and dude fucking can bomb on people. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to land one fairly early. I took Roundtree small at the opener at plus 100, and I took the under 1.5 at minus 150 at the opener. Just both small, but because I can't really trust Roundtree with too much money, but I do think he lands on the Bear Jew.
Yeah. Wes, I think you're in agreement.
Yeah, I don't think that Roundtree is like great or anything, but coming off the Ultimate Fighter, he ran into Andrew Sanchez, and I think that guy is really good. I think he could be something decent in that division. The Pedro loss, I think, woke Roundtree up. He actually got to a better camp, started taking his training seriously. I mean, Paul Craig's got a path here if he can get Roundtree down, but I don't think it happens. I think Roundtree can keep this up and catch him with something. There's no way I would play Roundtree at minus 220 or minus 240. But it flipped to minus 140 on Roundtree to me before I could get plus 100. But I took the minus 140, and I think he gets a knockout here.
Yeah, probably does. I got both these guys at D. I mean, the thing with Roundtree is, though, both these guys are limited in different ways, which I think why this fight is actually intriguing to me is that Roundtree, big power, ground game, super limited, and definitely in danger of being subbed in this bout. Problem is Paul Craig, first fight, got his fight to the ground pretty easily, got a finish. Last fight, couldn't get the fight to the ground, and then it got finished. So not really sure what happens here. It's really a battle of, I guess it's in Paul Craig's control in a little bit. Can he get the fight to the ground early? If he does, he's got a good chance to win. But if he doesn't, he's probably going to get KO'd. So that's really I don't see this fight going the distance. So I think that's potentially in play. Not sure what the distance line is, but I'm sure it's going to be juiced significantly. But maybe it's a parlay piece. Doesn't go the distance. And if you're looking at props, I think the Paul Craig by sub prop is fairly interesting in this bout. And then obviously Roundtree by KO, which is probably going to be, juiced, I would say, at this point, given how high Roundtree has climbed as a favorite. So look at it that way. I think that's the best way to do it. Next fight up, I got, we're moving up the main card here. We got Jack Marshmallow Man against that Canadian thing called Ryan James. Nushan, does your fellow countryman have a shot in this bout at all?
Well, no, because if you're a Canadian, you're not training at TriStar, then you're a fade. You're not good. That's just.
What about TJ? What about the Laramie brothers?
If they know what's good for them, they'll eventually go to TriStar.
What about wait? Those other brothers train at TriStar, right? Bourdois or whatever they are.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Be boring as fuck, but win fights.
That's right. So yeah, this guy is also 35 years old, so that's not a good thing either. I think Marshmallow Man's going to knock him the fuck out, but I'm not. Go ahead.
Doesn't Ryan James feel like a guy like Like he seems like a guy
just a regular dude.
Yeah, you just know him, right? Like I know a guy that doesn't. You're like, I know someone that looks like him. Like I feel like he's one of those guys.
Yeah, everybody knows somebody that looks like him.
Ryan James. All right.
Yeah, man, Marshman's he's a better guy here. He's better everywhere. He should finish this fight. I put him in a parlay on the open. I think it was like minus 280, or it went up a little bit. But yeah, small in a parlay. Marshman's going to roll here.
Yeah, I got Marshman a C minus, Ryan James a D minus. I guess it gets interesting if it goes to the ground, but Ryan James definitely hittable on the feet, and that's a danger because Marshmallow Man will come forward. He hits hard. He's a pretty decent striker, and he knows how to finish. So I think that's like a result. Marshmallow Man by knockout. He's probably a very good play in DraftKings. I think that's definitely a pretty strong play for any sort of. I'm sure it's going to be expensive, like 94, 9,500, but first round finish definitely seems doable, and he'll get you that 110 points you're looking for a potential winning lineup. Next fight up, I think is an important fight on the card. Kind of like one of those, lightweight bouts with two guys that are in the middle of the division, both trying to get up into the upper half of the division. So it's kind of one of those bouts where one guy, kind of goes over that middle line, the other guy drops below it. So you got Stevie Ray fighting on home turf against Paul Felder, who is American, but sometimes doesn't feel like he wants to be American. So, New Sean, I'll start with you.
I really like the over here. I grabbed the opener at minus 195, and I'm going to add on to it. It's still hovering around minus 210, minus 220. I think this goes to a decision. Harlem Heat's been to a decision 4 straight times. Paul Felder's got some finishes lately, but I don't see him finishing Stevie Ray. I think Stevie Ray's going to just be a lot more active, and Paul Felder is going to show his angry face and do nothing, not throw a strike back, and then he's going to get hit in the face again, and then he's going to show his angry face, and that's what's going to happen for 3 rounds. I like Stevie Ray. I played him small as well, but definitely think it's going to go over.
And Wes, are you in agreement on those two, or you're more of a money line guy here?
I think the over hits, but I'm far more on the other side. I really like Stevie Ray in this fight. Sean said most of it perfectly. I just think he's the far more technical striker here. He's definitely the more active fighter, and I think that's going to be the key to the whole fight. Felder's tough, can take a shot. He's going to be able to stay in there, but he's just not going to throw enough. We know how the judges reward volume in the UFC now and MMA in general. That's just how I see us going. It's going to be a 30-27 Harlem Heat. If not, Felder might still around. I don't really see it. Stevie Ray, I got him when it opened at minus 110, and then a little more at 120 because the limits were kind of low. This is my biggest bet on the entire card.
Yeah, I got both these guys a C, but I feel like I've been against Stevie Ray in his last fight or two, and I think I've learned my lesson here. He's been in some evenly lined fights before, and he kind of comes through. He's volume heavy. He's got good cardio. He puts in consistent performances, and we've seen against common opponent like Ross Pearson. Felder had some trouble with the striking. Was really in trouble in that fight and lost. And then you have Stevie Ray who lost the first round and then dominated with volume and just outworked him. So I think that's going to it's going to play out here. Is it's going to be volume and work rate. That's the key for Stevie Ray to win. Paul Felder, he's definitely the more flashy striker, and maybe the more opportunistic, but he's not consistent. I mean, the other guys touched on it. Consistency is key, and kind of like a fight that's likely to go to decision. And I'll take the guy who's going to work harder, put in more effort, and just just be just higher volume. And is in addition tough to finish. So I like Stevie right here. I'm surprised he's only minus 120. I thought it was going to balloon to the minus, maybe say like minus 180 or so, and it still might closer to fight day. I wouldn't be surprised. And he's fighting on home turf here, so really keep that in mind. If this decision's close at all, we know how English judges are, and judges are, not just English, but in the UK as a whole. Really keep that in mind here. I really think that's definitely an angle on a fight that's likely going to go to decision. Co-main event. I got it's Joanne Calderwood, the abortion clinic.
Jesus Christ.
Is this something I said? Is this something I said?
You got to play every angle, Jay. You have to play every angle in this game.
Yeah, she's had her issues in the past.
Don't start any rumors, Jay.
Against Team Alpha Male fighter, which is getting weird. I mean, how can we keep calling them Alpha Male when, they got a lot of chick fighters too? That's sexist. I mean, we can't have that in this world, Against Cynthia Calvillo. Wes, are you taking the fighter who's, in a sexist camp, or the fighter who hates births?
Jesus Christ.
Oh my goodness. I like Caballo in this fight.
Habib? Habalab? He's fighting? Heck yeah. I would take Habib minus 20 million in this fight. Yes!
Oh,
Great line. Great line.
2-0 US.
That's right.
Talk
about Habalib.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's chick fights, man. I mean, Calderwood could win this fight. I've never been much impressed with Calderwood. I know she's gotten so much hype. I see people betting her in this fight, mainly just because of a plus number here. But man, this chick is tough, man. Trains with some tough guys. Ground game is just insane. If this gets to the mat, I think Joanne's in trouble. So, yeah, I parlayed her at like minus 220. I think it's dropped down a little bit. She's starting to go back down. So, might see under 2-1. I think that'd be kind of crazy here. But, yeah, I like Cavallo here.
New Sean?
Yeah, I'm kind of steering clear of this fight. The only angle that I might take a shot on, depending on number, is maybe Calderwood plus 3.5. Calvillo is still really young. I mean, she's 5-0 in her professional career. She went 4-1 or 5-1 in her amateur career. Obviously, she won tough.
Oh shit!
This is a big fight for her. I mean, it's a co-main event. Calderwood likely has her shit figured out. I mean, she's been at TriStar now for a little while. She's definitely going to be the bigger fighter as long as she can make weight. I mean, I'm likely they're going to fight anyway, even if she misses weight. So, I don't know. This definitely feels like a pass for me, but Calvillo probably does grab a sub on the ground. It definitely could happen.
Yeah, I guess that's possible for sure. I got both these fighters a C+. I think it's a pretty interesting bout. Again, kind of like the Roundtree Craig fight we're talking about, fighters with two different types of game plan. Calvillo, though, is a way better grappler than, say, Paul Craig is in terms of her division and ability to get the fight to the ground. We've seen Calderwood struggle with fighters in the past who could take her to the ground. And she's vulnerable to being submitted. I think that's the most likely way this fight ends, is Calvillo gets her to the ground fairly early and mauls her on the ground and earns a submission. I'll definitely be looking at that prop, but I doubt it's going to be, probably worthwhile. It's probably going to be close to maybe about even money. Probably, honestly, probably even less. Well, it is. It is women's strawweight though, so. You do see some pretty interesting props there. Otherwise, I mean, there's a huge advantage for Calderwood on the feet. So watch out for that. if Calderwood can potentially stop takedowns or avoid them, I mean, Calvillo striking has not really impressed me at all. I think she could be in real trouble any prolonged striking exchange. So Calderwood potentially by knockout, kind of like the Valaturno fight, would not be a surprise at all. So I think this is a little bit of a buyer beware situation, even though I think the most likely result is Calvillo by submission. Main event of the night. I mean, it doesn't really feel like a main event, but Gunnar somehow has adopted the UK as like his second home. I mean, okay. It is what it is.
It's all Europe, Jay. Come on.
Gunnar Nelson. Yeah, it's Europe.
It's the train. It's the train.
Hungary, Iceland, England, they're all the same thing. Scotland, sure, them too.
It's the tutelage he's getting.
I mean, we got Gunnar Nelson, and they put him with a fighter who's, one of our favorites on this show, Santiago Pontoonboat. West
Ponzi scheme.
The Ponzi scheme, Pontoonboat got any shot here? Does Mr. Maidovsky, something going on?
That's nice. I like it. Yeah, man. I mean, he's got a shot here. I mean, I'm a huge Pontoonboat fan, man. I've made quite a bit of money betting him over the last few years, but I think this is a really bad matchup for him, man. There's always that chance. He's got big power to catch Gunnar, but Gunnar showed a decent chin. The times he has gotten touched, I mean, he doesn't even get touched much. But over 5 rounds here, man, I can't see how there's not going to be a scenario where Gunnar doesn't get him to the ground, and as soon as he does, it's going to be about over. I think that's going to happen. I just can't see Pontoonboat keeping this up for 5 rounds. I don't think he's going to catch Gunnar with something early. Like I said before, he hasn't even been hit much in his career. So, yeah, I'm on Gunnar here, and I put him with Pantoja. That's my other big bet of the night. So, yeah, Gunnar and Pantoja was minus 101 when I played it, and I think Gunnar gets a sub here.
That's fair. Nushan, thoughts on the main event?
Yeah, like Wes, I'm a big fan of the Pontoonboat as well. I've backed him in his last 6 fights, but I am
all aboard.
No, I am not backing him here.
Jumping off,
and I mean,
you're abandoning ship.
I have abandoned ships too early, like Whitaker, but I don't know. I like Gunnar Nelson in this matchup. I think West is downplaying Gunnar Nelson's chin a bit. He has a very good chin. He showed it against Rick Story. Yeah. He ate a little bit against Brandon Thatch. He's shown a really good chin, and like Wes said, this is a 5-round fight. Gunner's still a really good striker as well. I mean, I think he can compete with Pontoonboat on the feet, but on the ground it's another world. I think this could go. It could go probably into the mid rounds, and then Ponzi Scheme's going to get a little tired, and Gunner's going to get him down, and then it's game over. I think Gunner might even be able to get him a little bit earlier than that. I really like Gunner here. I laid it straight. I think I got like minus 181 or something like that at Pinnacle. Nice. Yeah, I really like Gunner here.
Yeah, I got Gunnar a B, Pontoonboat a C+. There could be a couple moments of danger for Gunnar on the feet just because Gunnar is more of a, kind of a sniper type of striker. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's dropped Brandon Thatch, who dropped, what's his name, Albert Tumanov, which was really stunning.
Yeah.
In hindsight, no one really saw it coming at the time. So he has the ability to hurt people on the feet, but the Pontoonboat, he's very dangerous when it comes to because he throws with such volume and he throws heavy that he can kind of swarm if there's a chance. So that's a little bit of a danger, but other than that, I mean, he does tire. So I kind of see Nushan's angle that if it goes in the mid rounds, I really do favor Gunnar a bit. So that's one angle. But really, I think he's going to be able to get the fight to the ground. I mean, Pontoonboat, because he strikes, because he throws with such volume, it kind of puts himself in some odd positions. where Gunnar could potentially grab him and kind of drag him to the ground. And from there, we haven't seen anything from Pontoonboat. He's rarely ever been on the ground where he could be competitive, and it's going to be night-night. Gunnar won by sub. He's one of the best in the UFC currently. I would say he's top 7, top 8 submission skill set in the UFC currently, maybe even higher than that.
Dude's a finisher, man. He's a finisher.
Yeah, he is.
Not on the MMA.
Not on the Chucky Olives Jacare level, but or even Gilbert Burns, but it's really high level. So I mean, obviously those other guys I mentioned are Brazilians. So he's from Iceland, for Christ's sake. So definitely a little bit of a surprise. So yeah, so that's the way I see it.
Did we announce the consensus and while I was sleeping, or
no? I don't think so.
Yeah, I guess we didn't announce the consensus. Stevie Ray is our consensus bet. Sorry, we didn't mention it at the time. And what are the odds on that, new Sean? Is it minus 120?
Yep.
Yeah, so just a little bit, a small favorite. Stevie Ray gets the job done. That's our 5dimes.eu consensus bet of the week. And I believe we've covered all the fights now. So anything else we want to add here, or are we done for the night?
I think we're done for the night. Next week is Weidman versus Gastelum. We're going to see if Weidman has anything left.
Yeah, and we actually have some good cards coming up.
It's also the return of Tommy Almeida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some interesting bouts on that card for sure.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good TV card.
Yep.
Also,
and the return of the King, not far away, boys. The return
Kevin
of the
Casey?
King.
Oh, different kind of king.
Yeah, different kind of king. Yeah, there we go. Bones Jones, man, not far away.
That is true. Anyway, that's it for this week. We'll be back with the Chris Weidman, Kelvin Gastelum card. In the meantime, enjoy the fights.